Hey Gabe, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, great. Nice, quiet last day of the show.
Quiet, it's a very relative term, but you know, we deal with what we've got, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, interesting, the L1, I was not aware of this before, but this looks very interesting. It's kind of like, there's a certain passing resemblance to the SH-101, right?
Yeah, we don't tend to say that just because, you know, we don't want to
I understand.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
I can say it though.
No, for sure. But we want to like pay homage to, the classics from the past, and we want to kind of like put our own little spin to it. So we've got a couple of features on this unit actually that is unique to it. And so maybe let's just jump straight into a little demonstration.
Yeah, let's go.
Right, sounds good. So first of all, let's just talk about the source mixer for a second. As you can tell, compared to the old models, we've actually got additional sound sources. So the one that really stands out for me is the triangle wave right here. So let me just pull it up right for you. It's got a really nice warmth to it, which I personally really like. So let's just play around with the textures for a second. And we've actually got three options for the sub-oscillator or sub-source. We've got a pulse wave down an octave, we've got a pulse wave down 2 octaves, or like a variable pulse wave down 2 octaves as well. So it gives you a lot of different options. Obviously, we've got our noise oscillator. And the one thing that stands out for me for this unit is actually the external in. Now, for example, if you were to have a guitar, a separate synth, perhaps even your voice, you could plug it into either this 1/8" external in jack, or there's actually a 1/4" inch down in the back.
Okay.
And so it passes through the same filters, the same envelopes, and it just gives you a lot of room for expression in terms of.
Does it have to have a note on trigger to be able to?
Yes, exactly. So we'll get to that in a second, but yes, it has to be a note on trigger. That is correct. Cool. So when it comes to the filters, pretty straightforward. We've obviously got the frequency. I really like the colors that come out of it. It's very smooth. It's very rounded. It's gritty when it needs to be, you know. And as you can tell, the envelope that modulates the filters is actually specifically the first envelope. And that's to my next point of what makes this unique is that we have 2 envelopes.
Right.
So the first one, again, like I said, it generally just modulates.
That's a big improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reference had gate or trig, didn't it? And an envelope.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously you can use the first envelope to modulate your sounds. And the second envelope is primarily, and I say primarily because we have other options, primarily for the VCA. So that goes without saying. We can morph our sounds, which is really great.
So this has got patch memory, right? As well.
We'll get to that. Unfortunately, we do not have sound preset patch memory. We only have memory for sequence.
The sequencer,
yeah,
right,
exactly.
Okay.
So for the VCAs, we have gates. I think our reference does have a gate as well on the VCA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just note hard on, hard off. Cycle is based on the LFO,
right?
Which is super sweet. And we've got a drone mode, which is unique to this as well. So if you just want to go hands-free.
Absolutely.
And I personally think it's really effective, especially if you're trying to, fool around a little bit with the external in, so that you're hands-free. You can kind of touch other instruments, play on other instruments.
Okay. So you don't need a trigger. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So what else? Ooh, one of my favorite things as well. Let's take a look at the LFO real quick. So for most vintage synths, the LFO goes up to 20 hertz. But then we get to go into the audio rate mode, which I believe on this machine goes up to 200.
Okay.
Which means, it goes without saying, we get into the FM modulation world. So. Yeah, that's a go. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Modulating pitch at the moment.
It's modulating the filters, the VCF, yeah. And let's touch it with the pitch because I really like the tone that comes out of it. So you can get really, really creative with this. We've also got a PWM mod, so that affects your pulse
Yay.
wave right here, which is super fun.
Well, high-speed pitch mod, pulse width mod is it can sound pretty good as well. Yeah.
And as you can see, there's actually a sync mode over here. So if you have a clock that like gives you a BPM or whatever, that actually syncs it up with whatever you're working with. So
can you dial us in a kind of good fat bass sound so we can just hear what sort of bass is?
Yeah, let's add a sub. I don't know how much low frequency is coming out because it's a little loud here, but.
Maybe take the pitch mod down so we just kind of interested to hear.
Yeah. Do you want something musical or?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Stick some noise out.
So the sequencer on board, is that like a 16-step? What's going on with the sequencer?
So, you would assume it's 16 because you got 16 pads. However, each pad actually represents 4 steps. So if we were to record, very simple by the way, just hit the record button here, select your sequence of notes. And I don't know if you noticed, but like as we were going along, it tells me what step we're on, and it tells me what pitch we're on, as well as the velocity.
Right.
So that's really nice. Very flexible. It tells you everything you need to know. Once you're done, hit the record button again. When you press play. And that's nice. Very clean, very easy to use. Now, you would think that 64 is a lot. But what if you wanted to amp it up a little bit? What if you wanted more steps? We have these things called slots, as you can see. And what that means is that for each slot, we actually have 64 steps.
Right.
So if we want to toggle between slots, let's say this is the first one, we hit shift, we hit the second pad, and we're into our second slot. So if we want to...
and that just follows on, it's not instant switch, it goes at the end of the previous slot, or does it do it?
You have to manually toggle between the two. So same thing, you record it. And it should play just as it was.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Can you play the sequencer and I'll just... Okay, cool. I just wanted to hear some of that low resonance. Thank you.
Absolutely. And personally, I think that's going to be a really useful tool, especially for a musician to play a lot of live shows. So if they were to, go back between the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and whatnot, they've got different patterns that they can...
So I noticed you've got a little display here. That's coming. I'm not sure it's coming out on the camera. There's a display for... is that just octave?
It's octave, and it's also semitones. So
transpose.
Exactly. Yep.
And then over here, this displays sort of sequence data and
That's
whatnot.
correct. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And one really good thing about the sequencer is that even though we can't save patch presets, we can save sequence presets.
Right.
So that's super helpful. Like I said, if you're a live musician, it's good to always come back to those sequences if you need to. So again, very easy on this machine. All you got to do is just hit shift, hit record, which essentially gets you to the save menu. And you can save up to 128 different sequences, which is great. And once you have those sequences in slots, you can save macro saves up to 32 songs. So for a full set list, that's more than enough. It's more than you need. So that's, I think, a really cool feature that we have on this machine.
So keybed is that velocity sensitive or is it just triggered? Right,
yep.
okay.
Yep, it is.
And has it got MIDI I/O as well?
Yes, it does. It's all in the back. We've got MIDI in and out, 1/8 inch. We've got a hold, which is for the sustain pedal, and like I mentioned earlier, the 1/4 inch external.
Hold on, what just happened there?
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that since we're already there, right? So this synth actually comes in 2 parts, or technically speaking, the synth is just the top piece.
Ah, okay.
So this is our unit, and this is actually the KB32M. And the beautiful thing about this is that, for example, you've already got like a bunch of synths in your place. You've got everything hooked up into your system, into your rig. You don't particularly need this, right? You just need this unit, and that's convenient for you. But if you were a traveling musician, sometimes, you know, when I go back home to visit my family, I've got some work, I've got some projects to finish. I need something a little bit more physical, a bit more tangible. So when I put these things together, they could be a little. Yeah, it's kind of bulky. It's a little big in my backpack, right? So I just split them in half, fold them, and they're ready to go.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So where does the power come from this?
So as you can see, we've got
USB,
magnet technology over here, and it just connects right in here. It's plug and play. You don't have to do anything. It's just compatible, just like that.
Cool.
And as you know, it's already just a USB MIDI controller just by itself, as well.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So, is this available now? What's the kind of
it's going to be out, I believe, in the fall.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, don't quote me on that, but I believe it is going to be out in the fall. The top piece is going to run for, I believe, $279.99.
Okay.
And the bottom one's going to be $119.99. So in terms of affordability, it's hard to beat. It's very hard to beat, in my opinion.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I just go through a couple more things?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was more stuff.
All good.
Okay, great.
We've done the sequencer. That's great. We've obviously got an Arpeggiator as well.
Ah, right.
The beautiful thing, obviously, we've got down, up, and random, which I believe is on the 101, but we've also got the down and up and down.
Right.
So we've got kind of like I suppose like a sine wave type of movement.
Yeah. Which
is great, and we've got a range of 1 octave through 3 octaves. So again, there we go. Yeah.
That's the one.
There you go. Yes,
sir.
sir.
There we go. Right. Okay. Got you. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm hearing it now.
Yeah,
I got it. Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah. Cool. We happy with that? We happy with that patch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
that sounds great.
Let's just go a couple of things on the LED screen. So, as I mentioned before, you have your songs that I've mentioned you could load up and save as well. We've got your envelope settings. You can choose to merge the envelopes if you would like to, in terms of like filtering and all that. Retriggers, velocities, etc. on both envelopes. LFO retrigger as well. And the global settings, I think, is where you can really get into the nitty-gritty. So if you're picky about your tuning, if you play in Europe, I know they tune their orchestras higher, and if you want to sync up with them, by all means, you've got 2 options. You've got A is 442 or 440 hertz.
Okay.
You can obviously tune your fine pitch as well, just if you want to go up a couple of cents. So that's really neat. The local switch is actually really cool, just because, like I said, if you're somebody who already has a bunch of other synths, you just don't want this separate, like this individual keyboard to trigger anything. You can just turn it off.
All right, so local mode. Okay, got you.
Yeah, you've got your pitch bend range. We've got 2 semitones, 7 semitones, so that's a perfect fifth, an octave, and 2 octaves.
Right,
so
gotcha.
Flexibility is great. Keyboard mode. Oh, I didn't mention this before, actually. When you detach the KB32M, you're actually able to use the keyboard mode in which the pads become the keyboard.
Okay, yeah.
So
you could trigger the notes. Yeah, makes sense.
And like I mentioned before, on the menu, you could turn it off if you'd like to. A couple other things: pedal polarity, key priority, MIDI ports, which is super great because we've got we have options for either the USB-C.
Right, so you can go USB over MIDI, right?
Yeah, or like both. Default it's both because I think that's the most useful in this day and age.
CV and gate, so you can.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. I forgot to mention that too. And sync in and out. So if you've got other things to, just make sure to sync the clocks and all that. That's available. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this unit. So. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little show.
Thank you very much, Gabe.
Absolutely, pleasure. Thank you.